Salve Scipoli, and welcome to part 2 of our verb review. Jumping right back into things, we're going to be talking about the present tense and the present tense endings for Latin verbs. So, as I said last year, if you took Latin here with Magister Cummings, you learned the present tense forms of verbs for first, second, and third person, singular and plural. So remember our chart telling us who our options are for doing Latin verb. We have I, you, he, she, it, we, you all, and they. So those are our 6 options for who can do a verb. I, you, singular, and he, she, and it are our first, second, and third person singular. And then we, y'all, and they are our first, second, and third person plural options. So there are different endings for each of those options as to who can do a Latin verb. Now, as I also said, there's 2 ways to translate the present tense in English. So let's kind of just talk about what those options are. Move myself up here again. So in the first person, right, you can translate a present tense verb as I verb. Again, you're going to substitute whatever the action is for verb. So I verb or I am verbing. So for example, I run or I am running. So you can translate the Latin verb to run in the present tense, first person singular, in either of those ways. First person plural, you can translate it as we verb or we are verbing. So we run or we are running. And again, just substitute any action word for this. Second person singular, you verb or you are verbing. Plural, y'all verb or y'all are verbing. Third person, he verbs, she verbs, or it verbs, or is verbing. And then plural is they verb or they are verbing. Okay, so these are, you can pick whichever way you want to translate the present tense into English. In some sentences, one way might sound better than others. I typically go with this first option as a general rule, but sometimes the second option sounds just a little bit better in English. So keep that in mind, but either one of them is a correct way to translate the present tense. So let's take a look at the actual Latin endings for these verbs. So this chart, copy this down. First person singular, a verb in Latin, in the present tense, first person singular will end in a long O. Okay, long O. And I'll show you some examples of an actual verb with these endings in a minute. Second person singular is going to be an S ending. And for the rest of these endings, there will be some changes in how you add these endings onto the verbs, but we'll kind of review that later. Third person singular is going to end in a T in the present tense. First person plural will end in MUS, pronounced mus. Second person plural ends in TIS or TIS. And third person plural ends in NT. So all present tense verbs will have these endings in Latin. Okay. So how to remember these? You can chant them. OST, mus, tis, NT. OST, mus, tis, NT. When I was learning Latin, we did a lot of chanting of endings and things like that to remember. Chanting works for some people. For other people, there are songs, and songs are a great way to try and remember things, even if they seem kind of silly. There's actually a whole bunch of different songs for the present tense endings. I think there's a way of doing it to the tune of the Mickey Mouse song. It's like OSTMUSTISNT, present tense, present tense, present tense endings, or something like that. So that's one option for songs. I also do have 2 sort of videos of some Latin present tense ending songs. So I will post this set of slides separately. So go ahead and check those videos out on your own. They're a little silly, and I don't want to spend too much time in the video making you watch or listen to them now. But do check those out, because if it gets stuck in your head, then that's going to help you remember it better. So we will be doing various songs and things as we go through and learn more Latin stuff. So the present tense song, that's these are two options, or you can do the Mickey Mouse one if that helps you. Or again, if you're not musically inclined or just hate music or don't want to do that, you can just chant them. O-S-T, mustis enti. O-S-T, mustis enti. So get those endings down. And I typically do them in that order. So it's I, you, he, she, it, we, y'all, they. That's how I work in my brain. So check out these songs. They're kind of amusing. So, all right, now let us see a verb in action. So we have this verb from stage 1 vocabulary. Laboro, laborare, laboravi, laboratum. So remember, our verbs will be listed with 4 parts. Again, we're not going to worry about these 2 forms just yet. We're mostly going to be taking a look at the first 2 forms for the time being. These are the 2 forms that we use for the present tense. The first form listed when you see verbs like this will always be the first person singular present tense form of the verb. So the first form listed is going to be the I verb form of the verb. So in this case, this form means I work. This second form listed is what we call the infinitive form of the verb. Don't worry about remembering that too much. We'll kind of talk more about that later. But the second form will always end in an RE, and this is the sort of basic form of the verb, the to verb form. So this is the form that means to work. All right. And this is actually going to be the form which we get the stem of the verb from, onto which we add the endings. And this ending here, this vowel gives us a clue as to what vowel goes before those endings. So let's take a look at this verb in all of its present tense forms. So again, this first form listed is our first person singular present tense. So laboro means I work. For the rest of these forms, again, we look at the second form and we have that A before that RE ending. This tells us that there's going to be an A before our ST, mustis, NT endings. So second person singular, laboras, for you work. Third person singular, laborat, he, she, or it works. First person plural, laboramos, we work. Second person plural, laboratis, y'all work. And the third person plural, laborant, they work. So that's seeing a verb in action. Again, mostly get those endings down. If you look at the verb ending, it tells you who's doing it, and that's going to help you with your translation. One last really quick note, and I'm just going to go through this really quickly because we'll get kind of more in depth. I know this is something I don't think you guys got into last year, but it's just some bonus information. The same way that our nouns belong to those declension groups that have patterns of endings, verbs belong to groups called conjugations, and each conjugation has its own pattern of endings. And you tell what conjugation a verb is by looking at that infinitive form, that second form listed in your verbs, okay? There are 4 conjugations, first, second, third, and fourth conjugation. You tell which one it is based on the vowel that comes before the RE ending. So first conjugation is are, second conjugation is ere, third is ere, and fourth is ire. Second and third both have an E before it, but this is one of those cases where that long E is really important. Again, get these notes down and kind of save them. We'll get more into this at a later date. Most important for this one is I want you to study those present tense endings, listen to the songs, chant them, whatever works best for you. Get that chart copied down in your notes, and we will do some more practice with this in our assignments for the week. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. All right. Wale te discipuli.